Folks, can I have your attention, please? We'll start the meeting of the September Planning Commission. We are without our chairman and vice chairman this evening, so I'll open the meeting, have you do roll call in a minute, and then after roll call, you all will need to vote for a temporary chair. So with that being said, roll call, if you hit your present button, please. Okay, thank you. And let the record reflect that we do have a quorum this evening. So at this point, again, you'll need to elect a temporary chair for this evening's meeting. I will point out that Commissioner Crohan has served in that capacity a number of times and has some experience chairing the meeting, but that's you all's call. So is there a motion for someone to be selected as the temporary chair this evening?
For Commissioner Crohan to be temporary chair.
Okay.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, hit your yes button. Okay, Commissioner Crohan, you are the chair for this evening, and I'll turn it over to you at this point.
Thank you.
I'm not hearing anybody,
Oh,
so y'all might want to speak up.
okay. So the announcements are that you do have before you, there we go, a revised consent agenda where we're just cleaning up a typo. Also a revised staff report for item 55. Also in front of you is a draft copy of some ordinance changes as they relate to noise standards for certain non-residential uses. You may remember we talked about that some time ago. This is something that we're not going to ask you to take action on until November, but we wanted to go ahead and get that in front of you. We will be having a work session before the October meeting, so that'll be at 4:30, and that'll be a major topic of discussion at that meeting. The consultant that we've been working on this, Dr. Bowlby, will be here to answer any questions that you may have regarding that. The next thing I'll mention is that I know you're aware of the fact that the county and the 6 municipalities within the county have been working on a regional growth planning effort. That's going very well. Essentially what we're doing there is trying to identify appropriate future locations for development and growth that can be supported by infrastructure in a fiscally responsible and timely way. That is something that will likely result in an amendment to the growth boundaries at some point in the future. I'll also mention that on October the 19th, there will be what we're currently referring to as a symposium where we're bringing in some speakers from different parts of the Southeast that have dealt with these regional issues or are still dealing with them, hoping to kind of learn from their experiences as well as their mistakes. So that'll be on the 19th of October at the Enrichment Center, and we'd love for all of you to attend that. Let's see. One thing I'll mention is that we have been talking internally about some potential changes to the structure of meetings, and one of those things that we've talked about is perhaps no longer reading into the record the consent agenda. That's something that has been a practice, but now that everybody has those in front of them well in advance, and we post the consent agenda on the website, there doesn't seem to be a need to read that into the record. The County Commission doesn't read their consent agenda into the record. And so if there are no objections, we'll start tonight by not reading the consent agenda into the record. And as you know, the consent agenda consists primarily of the bonds that come up for review, as well as final plats for subdivisions where the initial final plat has already been approved by this commission. So tonight's consent agenda includes 47 bonds, also final plats for Hardeman Springs Section 4, Stevens Valley, Sections 5, 7, 9, and 10, Daventry, Section 4, Kings Chapel, Section 9, Lookaway Farm, Section 2, McDaniel Estates, Section 5. So those are the consent agenda items. I know that you all have had those in your packet. Again, they've been posted online as well. So if there's no objection, we will not read those into the record. But of course, just like always, if there's any item that you all would like to carve out for a separate discussion, you'd have the ability to do that.
We need a motion as far as the...
Do we need a motion to not read that? I don't think we do, but we'll just do that by nodding of the heads.
Okay, and no one has any agenda item they'd like to pull out separate at this time? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the last thing I'll mention is just a reminder. This is kind of a new system still that we've just been doing for a couple of months. So if you would always put your request, press your request to speak button when you want to address the commission. That's all I have.
Thank you. Consideration of the minutes for July 8th, 2021 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read them? Is there any questions, changes? Motion?
Move for approval of that recommendation.
We have.
Second.
Thank you. Okay.
Don, you may want to pull your microphone over. There you go.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes. Press your button now to vote. Okay. Motion passes unanimously. We're coming to the public hearing part of this.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, we need to take action on the consent agenda, even if we're not going to read it into the record. We need to bring it up for motion and second.
On the consent agenda, do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda as written?
Motion for approval with staff recommendations.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote now. Motion accepted unanimously. Okay, so I started to say on the public hearing part of it, anyone that has signed up will come forward to the podium. They will have 3 minutes to discuss with the commission whatever that they want to. We ask that anything that you say is pertinent to the information that is at hand and no other items. Staff will read each item, and then we'll open it to public hearing. The first item is request by Harding Venture LLC for zoning approximately 580 acres located at 3021 Del Rio Pike, parcel 051-01300 from Municipal Growth Area 1 to Rural Preservation 5. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant has requested a map amendment in order to rezone an approximately 580-acre parcel at 3021 Del Rio Pike from its present zoning, which is Municipal Growth Area 1, to Rural Preservation 5. A signed petition making this request has been received from the owner of the parcel. The chief distinction between the existing zoning district and the proposed zoning district relates to the maximum density of residential development allowed, which is 1 unit per acre in the MGA 1 district and 1 unit per 5 acres in the RP 5 district. Essentially, the property owner is requesting a downzoning of the property in that the requested zoning district is more restrictive than the existing zoning district. The parcel is currently located within the City of Franklin's urban growth boundary. However, the city has formally declined to provide sewer to the property. Furthermore, the city has indicated that they don't believe the property should remain in their UGB in the future. Staff had advised the applicant that these actions by the city were prerequisites for the county to consider a rezoning request. Section 4.05 of the zoning ordinance provides some guidance in such matters by outlining a number of factors that should be considered when evaluating a request for a map amendment. Staff believes that a number of these factors may be viewed as supporting this request. One of the key factors that should be considered is the extent to which a proposed map amendment is consistent with the county's comprehensive land use plan, which calls for a maximum residential density of 1 unit per 5 acres outside of UGBs, hamlets, and villages. Given the city's position on this property not remaining in their UGB in the future, the requested rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan policies. Based on this finding, coupled with the fact that the property owner is voluntarily requesting a more restrictive zoning district be applied to the property, staff recommends that the requested map amendment be approved and that the attached resolution be forwarded to the County Commission for adoption.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, we have 3 people that have signed up. If you will come to the podium and give us your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes, please, and try to keep it as brief as you can to that. Yes, ma'am.
Laura Turner, 1108 Dickinson Lane, Franklin. Good afternoon. I'm here to support the downzoning on 580 acres on Del Rio as requested by Harding Ventures, the property owners. This would allow rural preservation 5-acre zoning to be applied to this significant, beautiful land. Located in the Tennessee's great central basin of fertile river valleys, wetlands, watersheds, forest, and rolling hills, the Harpeth River Valley contains rich collections of scenic, cultural, rural, and historic resources. From its quaint roads lined with stone walls to its collection of Native American historic sites, the valley is a treasure that is likely to be buried soon under a landslide of residential developments, road construction projects, and environmental issues. That was a quote from Scenic America, a national conservation group, when it named the Harpeth River Valley one of the top 10 most endangered scenic places in America in 2001. 20 years ago, citizens were standing up and speaking out to preserve this unique, treasured landscape. These 580 acres are part of the Harpeth River Valley, designated in the nomination we submitted to Scenic America, in the hope that tools would be adopted to protect and preserve it for us and for future generations. Last year, the county adopted some of those tools in its comprehensive land use plan to protect our vanishing rural landscapes. I respectfully request this commission rezone this land from municipal growth area to rural preservation. I'm grateful to the visionary owners of this land, and I'm thankful to this commission for its support of rural landscapes and view sheds in our beloved county. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next one we have Doris.
Hey, good evening. My name's Dory Bowles, and I am the CEO of the Harpeth Conservancy. I also happen to live in Williamson County, 201 Deerfield Lane. And I will be brief. I just wanted you to know that our organization has worked with the county for years on land use, the land use plan update, and many other things. I've served on the county's Stormwater Appeals Board. And we've done a lot of work with private property owners, and this is a good example of private property owners helping also to take the lead and support, you know, the vision of the community and the elected leadership. So we're here to say one, recognize and thank the private property owners for considering doing the downzoning and encouraging you to support that. And as you just heard, Scenic America, this is a very important area of the Harpeth, and it's really wonderful to see property owners take their own initiative. If you remember the downzoning that was done individually by property owners along the old Hillsborough Road corridor that sort of helped jumpstart the land use planning process again. So thank you for your time tonight. I just happened to have someone come in who I happen to know would like to speak on this, and they were just asking, is it too late for anybody else? So just FYI, I don't know what the procedures are, but thank you very much.
Yes, the next person, please, is Chris.
Chaz.
Chaz, I'm sorry.
Terrible handwriting that I have. Chaz Morton, 9th District County Commissioner. Commissioner Williams and I are proud to have already signed a resolution before our body, which I believe will set in November, to request this downzoning for approval. When we reviewed the comprehensive plan and decided on unanimously, overwhelmingly, the county residents have told us that they wanted the town and country, and this is our opportunity to take country a little further out. We are tremendously excited that they are voluntarily, government can only do so much, and we have individuals willing to downzone this property. I hope and trust that you guys will approve this. Staff is for it. We will be for it on the county commission and appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you. To answer your question, if you haven't signed up on it, then we won't be hearing from anybody else in order to keep the meeting flowing. At this time, we'll close the public hearing on this, and we'll turn it over to the commission.
Hey, Todd, the applicant may want to speak. I'll ask them if they want.
Is the applicant here? Could you give us your name and...
Trevor Cross.
Okay. Just wait, and maybe the commission will have a question for you.
Absolutely. Happy to answer any questions.
This is an easy one, isn't it? Is there anything you'd like to add to it?
They said it better than I could almost, and I think everyone who spoke, we're excited. The possibilities for this beautiful piece of property are that it could be many rooftops, and we don't want that, and I don't think anybody else does either. So we're happy to downzone this and help match up with the RP5 zoning that you all approved fairly recently across the county. We're very excited and happy to get started. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, the public hearing is closed, so we'll turn it over to the commission now. Any questions that they have on it? Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have an approval and a second.
Mr. Chairman, somehow Sammy was speaking and he's not here. I think there's something going on with the board. Okay.
He may be here, we don't know it. That's all. Okay, if you'll vote now, please.
I never pushed my,
I thought police were just ignoring you.
but it's really fine. Sammy's in Chicago talking to us from the...
Motion passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is item 50, is amendment to section 11.03A4 of the zoning ordinance regarding farm wineries.
Okay, thank
Staff?
you. Yes, sir. Section 11.03A4 of the zoning ordinance outlines specific standards related to farm wineries. Currently, one of those standards limits the total floor area of buildings used for processing, bottling, tasting, sales, wine storage, or office space to 25,000 square feet, regardless of the size of the property housing a farm winery. The minimum lot size for a farm winery is 15 acres. The proposed text amendment would provide a sliding scale for determining maximum building size as a function of the total site area of a farm winery. Specifically, the amendment would maintain 25,000 square feet as a maximum building size for properties between 15 and 35 acres, but would allow a larger floor area for larger parcels, up to 50,000 square feet for farm wineries with a site area of at least 60 acres. Staff believes this sliding scale provides an appropriate degree of flexibility while continuing to protect surrounding properties from negative impacts. As such, staff recommends approval of the proposed text amendment and that the attached resolution be forwarded to the County Commission for adoption.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll note that there were no citizens that signed up to speak for this item.
Okay, so we will not need a public hearing on this one.
Correct.
Thank you. All right, we'll turn it over to the commission at this point. Any questions on this discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
of item 50, we say it's a sliding scale, but in the table, it says 15 to 35 acres is 25,000 square feet. Then 36 to 59 is 37.5, 60 plus is 50,000. I mean, could we just say 15 to 35 is 25,000 and 60 or greater is 50,000 and then leave it to, like interpolate between the two? I'm just thinking that if someone has 59 acres, they're limited to 37,500 square feet. But if they have 60 acres, they can have 50,000 square feet. Do we want it to truly be, an interpolation between 25,000 and 50,000?
Well, I think we want it to slide a little bit, but not slide with so many tiers that it becomes, kind of unmanageable. This is kind of what we felt like was appropriate, just based on what we have now and what we're trying to get to. I mean, we could always add, another step, but and we thought about different ways of doing that, Commissioner. But at the end of the day, we felt like this was, an appropriate way to do it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Move for approval of staff recommendations.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Prepare to vote and vote now. Motion carries unanimously. And we'll end the public hearing portion of this meeting. In old business, we have a final plat review for the 10L Petty property, Lot Easement Subdivision, containing 3 lots on 16.93 acres located on North Keith Road, second floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject property is approximately 16 acres in size and is located across Keys Road, approximately 1/2 mile south of Choctaw Road. The applicant is requesting approval of a large lot easement subdivision in order to create 3 lots off a new 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement. This plat was submitted prior to the adoption of the new subdivision regulations. Therefore, preliminary plat was not required. The site contains natural resources requiring protection, including steep slopes and woodlands. There are moderately steep slopes inside and outside the building envelopes. All zoning ordinance requirements, including those regarding the protection of natural resources, have been met. The applicant is proposing individual septic systems for the lots, and the Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved the request. Water will be provided by HB and TS Utility District, as no fire hydrants are proposed, and as none are currently located within 500 feet of the building envelopes. The building envelopes have been separated by 200 feet. The plat is in order and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions on this item? Beth?
I'm really sorry. I don't know why it keeps happening. I'm not hitting it. It's going done. Sorry.
Thank you.
I want to hear from you on every item. I'll do it again.
We've got all night.
I know, it's my fault. Are you doing something back there? Yeah.
All right. Any other, do we have a motion on this one?
For approval of staff recommendations.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Prepare to vote and vote now. Preliminary plat review for Caymus Subdivision, large lot easement subdivision, containing 6 lots on 35.6 acres located along South Carothers Road, the 4th Road District. Yes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject parcel is approximately 36 acres in size and is located off South Carothers Road across from Gallant Ridge Drive and approximately 1,000 feet west of Delta Springs Lake. The applicant is requesting preliminary plat approval of a large lot easement subdivision. The site contains natural resources requiring protection, including streams and 100-year floodplain. The site is mostly open with very minimal tree canopy. All zoning ordinance requirements, including those regarding the protection of natural resources, have been met. The applicant is proposing individual septic systems for the lots, and the Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved the request. Water will be provided by Millcrofton Utility District. No fire hydrants are proposed, and sprinkler systems are to be provided in all dwellings. Building envelopes have been separated by 200 feet. The preliminary plat is in order, and staff recommends approval subject to the following: a notice of coverage issued by TDEC. Number 2, a land disturbance permit must be obtained for the overall development. And number 3, driveway and drainage infrastructure must be complete, consistent with zoning ordinance requirements prior to submission of a final plat.
Is the applicant present? At this point, I'll turn it over to the commission. Any questions? Statements? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Prepare to vote. And vote now. Phase 9 containing 23 lots, 31.31 acres.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A revised concept plan for this development was approved by this body at the December 2020 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for Phase 9 of this development, which includes 23 lots and approximately 10.5 acres of open space. The roads will be privately maintained. The layout depicted on the preliminary plat is consistent with that depicted on the approved concept plan. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the following conditions, which must be addressed in conjunction with final plat submittal. Number 1, prior to final plat submittal, off-site roadway improvements required in association with individual sections of the development as stipulated in the traffic study review findings provided by the county's traffic engineering consultant, including turn lane improvements at site entrances, must be completed in accordance with the approved plans. Number 2, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 3, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. Number 6, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 7, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents which shall address the requirements of Section 17.12, private streets of the zoning ordinance for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 7, dedication of right-of-way 30 feet off the center line of Patton Road. Number 8, execution of stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 9, providing 2 copies of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the final plat.
Is the applicant present?
Matt Bryant with M2 Group, here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, do you have anything you'd like to add before we give it to the commission?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, statements? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve is for staff's recommendation.
We have a motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now. All right. Item 54, preliminary plat review for Hickory Farm, Phase 3, containing 24 lots, 85.54 acres, located on Boulevard Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved at the August 2015 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for the third phase of the development, which consists of 24 lots and approximately 71 acres of open space. The preliminary plat is consistent in layout with that depicted on the concept plan. All off-site roadway improvements, including the turn lane improvements at the site entrances, have been completed. Staff recommends approval of this preliminary plat. In conjunction with the final plat consideration, the following items must be addressed. Number 1, prior to consideration of the final plat, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The approved HOA documents must be recorded prior to the recording of the final plat. Number 2, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 3, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Mill Crofton Utility District. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. Number 5, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 6, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 7, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Is the applicant present?
Richard Howes with SEC.
And do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, sir, I think he's got it covered.
All right, we'll turn it over to the commission if they have any questions for you or any statements. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm not picking on you, I have a general question.
Okay.
Sometimes when we have a lot of these different items that there is a requirement of turn lane improvements and so forth as a condition for approval, I was just wanting to understand better that process. Does our planning staff confirm that that's completed prior to our meetings, or is that in conjunction with the highway department?
I'll address that.
Thank you.
Both. So if there's a requirement that the turn lane improvements be completed before they can submit a final plat, when they submit the final plat, we make sure that the highway department is satisfied that it's been constructed to their standards, and we would not let it on the agenda if they don't tell us that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and thank you for your plan.
You have a motion?
Motion to approve per staff's recommendation.
Have a second? Have a motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now, please.
Jamie's speaking.
Having a
We
little
did
technical difficulty.
We can have a voting option. And Sammy is speaking. Oh, dear.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Look at you making things.
We'll have a plat, Gallup Run, containing 7 lots, 13.09 acres, located off Mullen Road, 8 voting districts. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am reading from a revised report that was placed on your desks earlier. A concept plan for this development was approved by this body at the December 2020 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval of this development, which includes 7 lots and approximately 7 acres of open space. The layout depicted on the preliminary plat is consistent with that depicted on the approved concept plan. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the following conditions, which must be addressed in conjunction with final plat submittal. Number 1, prior to final plat submittal, all off-site improvements as specified in the traffic access analysis review letter from the county's traffic consultant must be completed to the satisfaction of the county highway superintendent. Number 2, dedication of right-of-way 30 feet off the center line of Vaughn Road. Number 3, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 5, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Harpeth Valley Utilities District. Number 6, establishment of a performance bond for sewer improvements in favor of Harpeth Valley's Utilities District. Number 7, submission of landscaping and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 8, execution of a performance agreement for the above referenced sureties. Number 9, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 10, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Is the applicant present for this item?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, Alan Thompson with Reagan Smith and Associates. Agree with conditions of approval. I would like to request just clarification on what was updated on the report, if we could. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
It was a typo for the open space. It was inadvertently put at 37 acres, and it was 7 acres, which the revised report reflects.
All right, appreciate that. Thank you. Here to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions, statements at this point from the commission? Do we have a motion?
Move for approval of staff recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now.
Thank you.
Right.
Sorry. Missed the button.
Item passes unanimously. Non-residential site plan. Item 56, non-residential site plan review revised for Christ Presbyterian Academy, CPA, baseball hitting facility on 54.94 acres located off of Aldertree Boulevard, 8th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting approval of an 8,840 square foot baseball hitting facility to be used in conjunction with an existing school. Property in question is located on Old Hickory Boulevard, approximately 3/4 of a mile west of its intersection with Hillsborough Road. Property straddles the Davidson-Williamson County line, and properties located on the Williamson County side range in size from approximately 23 acres to 43.5 acres. These properties are used primarily for residential or agricultural purposes, and the City of Brentwood's water equalization facility is to the east of the property in question. Water and sewer services are provided by Metro Water and Sewer, and staff has received confirmation that services are available. A landscaping plan has been reviewed and approved by staff. No bond is required. There will be no additional signage. The site plan is in order, and staff recommends approval.
Is the applicant present for this one?
Good evening. I'm Steve Gilbert with Gilbert McLaughlin Cassell Architects, basically representing CPA.
Okay, do you have anything to add?
Nothing in particular. It's pretty straightforward, but I will answer any questions anybody may have.
Thank you. Any questions or statements from the commission at this point? Beth?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Beth.
He has my phone. Access to my phone. You're having fun with me.
All right. Have a motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Fair to vote? Vote now. Item passes unanimously. There's a non-residential site plan in site.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This is a non-residential site plan review for tri-unit area elementary and middle school. I have 100.1 acres located off of Cox Pike in the 5th voting district. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting approval of a school campus that will consist of an approximately 121,000 square foot elementary school and a 197,000 square foot middle school, and a wastewater treatment and disposal system to treat wastewater generated by the uses. At this time, the applicant is requesting deferral to the October 2021 meeting in order to allow additional time to address staff's comment. Staff concurs with this request.
Second? I'll second. On the motion and the second, prepare to vote. Vote now. Item passes unanimously. Final plat. Item 58, final plat review for Arrington Ridge, Section 2, reapproval containing 43 lots on 33.37 acres located off of Cox Pike in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A final plat for this section was approved at the March 2021 meeting. All of the required bonds have yet to be posted, and as such, the approval of the final plat has expired. The applicant is now requesting reapproval of the final plat for the second section of the development, which contains 43 lots and approximately 14 acres of open space. During the concept plan stage, a condition that a 6-foot privacy fence was to be erected along the mutual property line of the properties referenced by tax map 114, parcels 10.01 and 10.03 was added. Additionally, all required landscaping was to be planted outside the aforementioned fence. The required fence has been shown on both the final plat and the approved landscaping plan, and a condition of approval has been added to ensure its maintenance in perpetuity. The plat remains consistent in layout with that depicted on the preliminary plat. Staff recommends approval of the final plat with the following conditions. Number 1, the HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 2, addition of a note to the final plat stating the following. The 6-foot privacy fence located along the mutual property lines of the properties referenced by tax map 114, parcels 10.01 and 10.03 is to be maintained in perpetuity. Number 3, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control in the amount of $395,000. This amount is a reduced amount based on improvements completed. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District in the amount of $317,130. Number 5, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system in the amount of $120,000. Number 6, establishment of a performance bond for landscaping and fencing in the amount of $95,400. Number 7, execution of performance agreements for the above referenced sureties. Number 8, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 9, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Item.
Richard Howes with SEC again.
Okay, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
No, sir. I'll answer any questions if need be.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, discussion on this item? Do we have a motion?
Move for approval of staff recommendations.
A motion and a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Items 59 through 67 are on the consent agenda. So we move to all other business. Establishment of the landscaping bond, the landscaping improvements on Ramsey's fence solution on 75.66 acres located on Peytonsville, Trinity Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site plan for this use is under review by staff. However, due to the cost of the required landscaping improvements and pursuant to section 16.07 of the zoning ordinance, a performance bond for landscaping improvements must be established by the planning commission prior to final site plan approval by staff. Staff recommends the establishment of a performance bond for landscaping improvements in the amount of $11,220.
Is the applicant present for this item?
Staff is the applicant for this one, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll turn it over to the commission then. Any questions, discussion? Do we have a motion? Have a motion, second? We have a second. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Item passed. Vote of Robin. Robin. Thank you. Item passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 69, concept plan for confirmation. Rio Pike Subdivision, Williamson County Chancery Court Order, June 10th, 2021, CPS Land LLC versus Williamson County, acting by and through its Regional Planning Commission, docket number 20C4-49980N, containing 252 lots on 359.57 acres, located off Arrington Ridge Road in the 5th voting district. And there'll be no motion or anything needed on this one, but any questions from the commission or any statements?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to read the staff report into the record.
Okay.
The audience, but there's no action. Frankly, if anyone has any questions or there's any discussion, just give me a call at the office. At the November 12th, 2020 meeting, the Planning Commission voted to deny the concept plan for the Reedsville subdivision submitted by developer CPS Land LLC. In December of 2020, CPS Land filed a petition for writ of certiorari challenging that denial in Williamson County Chancery Court. After considering the briefs of the parties and the arguments made during the hearing in court, the Chancellor issued his court order and memorandum on June 10th, 2021. The Chancellor found that the Planning Commission's decision to deny the Reedsville concept plan was arbitrary and capricious because there is no material evidence in the record supporting his decision. Therefore, the Planning Commission's decision is reversed by the court, and the concept plan for Reedsville is approved. This report simply memorializes the court's decision for the records of the Planning Commission. No action is required. That's it.
No motion and nothing needed on this one. Is there anything else for the order of the commission to be brought forth? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? Have a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Good evening.